Welcome to How to Basic Apex. Today we're going to talk about how to create a table using the interface and through code, how to add a sequence to the primary key, and how to add data to that table. You can edit your database in the SQL workshop. For now, we're going to click on Object Browser. Here you have two ways of creating a table. You can either right-click on Table and select Create Table, or click on the plus drop-down menu and select Table. First off, we'll add a table name. Schematics is the way data is stored in a database. Right now we'll leave it at char. Then we can add comments to the table, which in this case is not necessary. In the column section we have a couple of options. Column name, which is the name of the column, and data type is like a label for the kind of information the table is dealing with. So for example, if you want to insert special characters and letters, you need varchar. And if you want to insert numbers, integers, you will use the data type numbers. Precision is the max amount of numbers a user can add to insert into the database using the column. This can only be used for the data type numbers. Okay, now we have scale and length. Scale is the max amount of numbers after a dot a user can add to insert into the database using this column. So for example, if you have the data type number and scale is 2, it won't insert this. But if we change that to this, it will. And length is for varchar, which is the max amount of letters and special characters a user can add to an insert into the database using this column. So in short, scale is for numbers and length is for letters and special characters. Not null means a user is forced to fill in the column, otherwise it won't insert. Primary key is the most important column in the table. It holds all the data together, and most of the time it's a number, like an employee ID. Default expression is used to automatically insert data in this column using code. And comments is used to clarify the column or information in this column. This table is going to have 4 columns in total, so I'll add 3 more using add column. For the first column, it's always good to have it as a primary key. For the data type, we'll use number. You can type N for number or use the drop-down menu. We'll select not null, which is going to make your life a little bit easier later on. And of course, the primary key will be selected. Okay, so now we're adding the column called first name, which will have the data type called varchar2. And again, if you type V for varchar, it's going to be automatically selected. For varchar, you will need to fill in the length, so in this case, it will be 50. We want to force the user to put their first name in, so we're going to select not null. Next up is the last name, which is basically the same as the first name, so again, varchar, length at 50 and not null. And the last column is going to be a date column, called higher date, so we don't need to fill in the length. And same as the other columns, not null. Click on Create Table, and here under Columns, we'll see an overview of the just created table. In the column ID by default, we see a dot next val, which means there's a sequence attached to the ID. In this case, the sequence will add a +1 to the existing ID when inserting in this table. In the older versions of Apex, there will not be a sequence automatically attached to the primary key. You can solve this problem by making a table through code. Under DDL, we can see the code for this table. In the older versions, this tab may be called differently. I'm going to delete this table and recreate it using the code option. To insert the code, go to SQL Workshop, SQL Command, and type in your command. Here you can see the sequence is already added to the ID. One thing to watch out for. Right now, the name is between quotation marks, which can cause problems because the system will think the name of the table is with the quotation marks. Click on Run, and in the bottom left, you will see that the table is created. To see the result, we'll go back to the SQL Workshop, and under Recently Created Tables, you'll see the table name. Now we're going to add some data to the table. Normally this is done by the different pages in Apex, but to show you that everything works, we'll do it this way. So click on Data and Add Row. Here we won't fill in the ID because it will be managed by the sequence. So I'm just adding some data and clicking on create. Here you will see the just created row. And as you can see, there wasn't an ID yet in the table, so the sequence added a 1 because 0 plus 1 is 1. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. We also have other instruction videos like this one on our channel, How to Basic Apex. So subscribe to stay updated and like this video if it was helpful.